look-see.
New here at 10, Florida officials are considering a plan to build a detention center in the middle of the Everglades. The area is surrounded by alligators, hence why the facility is being called Alligator Alcatraz. Sounds almost too Florida to be real, but as Fox 35 Evan Moon tells us, it is.
Alligator Alcatraz. This 30-square-mile area is completely surrounded by the Everglades. Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons.
That's what
nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
Construction has commenced on the Attorney General's plans.
We could put sex traffickers in here, Muslims, child sex. I mean, there's the worst of the worst can go here.
Converting a remote airstrip into a detention center for illegal immigrants.
We don't need a lot. It's light infrastructure, 5,000 beds by early July. Many of them will be at Alligator Alcatraz.
But the quick action announced only last week has environmentalists panicked.
Here we go.
A protest taking place Sunday.
The Everglades as a whole is one of the most fragile ecosystems in the world.
This guy sounds like the biggest puss. What is he talking about? Fragile ecosystems. It just sounds like gayness. This guy's got to go. What's his name? Travis Thompson? Later.
Congress, the president just committed over $400 million to Everglades restoration, and we're going to spend $450 million operating this facility every year. So it's a really kind of a, what are we doing here kind of situation.
Is this dude, does he have a problem? Does this dude have a problem? Is it the alligators or the Mexicans? You can't have both. I want the alligators. I want the Mexicans to be protected by the alligators. I want the Muslims to be protected by the alligators. They're doing them a favor. Fragile ecosystems. What the hell is even that?
Environmentalists refuse to leave the...
Can't have a little bit of fun without worrying about the ecosystems? Is that where we are? Ecosystems.
Everglades until plans change course.
This has all happened incredibly fast. And, people are concerned, and we've obviously not been told as it's progressed. So again, I'm trying to keep eyes on what's happening.
Yeah, she just finished like her 90th diet that never worked. Look at her face. Look at those stupid puka shells. Get this, Gemma?
As somebody that does kind of the grassroots pot stirring, it's so important for people to continue to make noise and raise awareness for this issue.
The issue hitting...
Just the words of the protesters out there. Just because they're honking their horns doesn't mean you're doing anything with your movement. You're just gay. Causing people to honk their horns is gay. Alligator Alcatraz is not gay. Honking horns in front of Alligator Alcatraz is gay.
Especially close to home for the Miccosukee tribe.
Yeah. This is our home. This is our refuge. God. We've been here for generations.
You're telling me this lady has a problem where the fucking jail's going, man? She's worried about the alligators or the Mexicans? Does this lady look like she could... Can't even wear her glasses the right way.
Since the times of the ending of this...
You chose a shitty home. You chose the worst kind of place to be. You can't hate these people enough. You'd rather live amongst alligators? That's where you chose to... That's where you chose home? Are you nuts?
Seminole Wars. And this isn't a barren wasteland that they try to paint it to be.
Governor Ron DeSantis adding Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
He's been crucial in protecting the area.
There's zero environmental. I mean, you're talking about the guy that's plowed how much money into Everglades restoration? Why would I want to do anything that would do? In fact, Ben Albritton and I had to fight to get Everglades fully funded. They're trying to use the Everglades.
What the fuck? You're telling me you can't pile a couple thousand Mexicans in there? Some Muslims? All nice and close together? You know what I mean? Get a little pork wrestling match between the Mexicans and the Muslims. Why can't we have a little fun? What's wrong with having some fun around here? It's Florida. And you're talking about fragile ecosystems? I don't even want to watch that guy again. I want to punch myself in the face.
As a pretext, just for the fact that they oppose immigration enforcement.
U.S. officials say this facility will cost about $450 million a year, funded in part by
$450 million. That's like 18 LGBTQ plus 2IA puppet shows in Egypt. What are they complaining about? That's a drop in the bucket, man.
FEMA's Shelter and Services Program. Yeah. All this happening soon. The Attorney General looking to house illegal immigrants by the end of this summer. All Florida's Travis Thompson tells me he isn't opposed.
So that's basically the best thing to come out of Florida in a long time. Hey, Daddy, Mommy, on the way to Disneyland, can we stop at Alligator Alcatraz? Yes. Mommy, Daddy, on the way back home from Disneyland, can we stop at Alligator Alcatraz? Yes. Yes, kids. I want you to see the crime for entering the country illegally. Alligators, Alcatraz, ecosystems. You might have to live with this guy. You might have this guy knocking on your door for some queer ass shit. Talking about ecosystems. Fucking A, man. We can't even have fun anymore. What are these Chinese people? 4 Koreans charged with an embezzlement scheme. No kidding. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Fucking.
Normally on a Friday, the Everglades would be so quiet, but right now the hills are alive with the sound of construction. Joining us right now is Governor Ron DeSantis here in the great state of Florida. You came up with this idea in the last couple of weeks, right? For
sure did.
Alcatraz or Alligator Alcatraz. Explain it.
Well, when you want to have deportation of illegal aliens, there's a process that DHS has to go through to vet, to process, and then to stage them for removal.
Right.
And, we've got jails, and our sheriffs and police are working. The state of Florida.
Hey, XXX tourist. Go away. I don't need you spammy little get-rich-quick scheme. I've done those before. All right? They don't work.
Is all in on President Trump's mission, and obviously you have ICE operations, but that's not enough, and so there needs to be more ability to intake, process, and then deport. So this answers that. This is going to be able to have more than 3,000 illegals can be processed through here.
Yes.
We've got a massive runway right behind us where any of the federal assets.
That is a rip and run. You load them up, off onto the flight, bam. Where do you land? Alligator Alcatraz. One-way ticket.
If they want to fly these people back to their home country, they can do it one-stop shop.
There we go.
So where will the migrants come from? And we should point out, we're about 50 miles to the west of Miami, right?
More than that, I'd say. So we're in the heart. We're actually mostly in Collier. We're actually mostly in Collier County, to be honest with you. So
I was going to say
this is
we're in the middle of nowhere.
Dade Collier Airport. So this is an airport that we use for training, military. As you see, we're doing this on the existing footprint.
Yep.
But basically, I would say most of the illegals will likely be ones that are apprehended in Florida.
Nice.
We've got across this country about 750,000 illegals that have already been ordered to be removed by an immigration judge. We've probably got 50,000 or more in Florida. And so we're going to have our hands full just with that. But I'll tell you, this is going to be a force multiplier, and we're really happy to be working with the federal government to satisfy President Trump's mandate.
None of this stuff was here, except for the runway, about a week ago.
Well, there's a couple buildings with the airport. This is a functioning airport. The media has erroneously tried to say it was defunct. It's not defunct.
What do you need for a jail anyways, really? Big-ass wall, barbed wire, divorced dudes with a gun, pepper spray, and a cup of noodles. Coincidentally, some alligators thrown in the mix, make it a little bit more interesting. It's easy. Fucking load them up. Take them to Florida. And then just get them the fuck out. There's no fucking reason to have millions of illegal immigrants in this country.
They do have flights. All those training flights will still be able to continue, no problem. But
Hey, keep telling me I got herpes, dude. Keep telling me I got herpes. I'll come to your little shithole town in Alabama once my shoulder starts feeling better. Yeah. So keep talking, dude. Oh.
the stuff that goes into intake and processing of illegals, you're seeing this put up. This is all 24 hours. 24 hours from now, you're going to see even more. And by Tuesday, this...
If this was California, Newsom would have to have like a little gay pride parade festival, make sure it goes through all the different... this would take years in Newsom's town. DeSantis just gets it done. He doesn't have to worry about all the gayness.
Will be able to have intake of illegals.
And you've thought of everything. Okay, so there are 4 gigantic tents. Let's come on over here, Governor. And people are thinking, okay, you're in the middle of the Everglades. It's hot. That would explain why you've got this bank of air conditioners here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be, illegals will come in, they'll be processed. There'll be places for them to be housed. You'll have an ability for food. You'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area. And then, of course, you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facilities.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Where do you go to get a bunch of bathrooms like that?
This is equivalent to any Motel 6 or Red Roof Inn. It's basically the same. Except you might be walking around with chains and stuff. But whose problem is that? Yours. Dude, call me herpes. Tell me I got herpes again, dude. Give me your address. Give me your address. No, I'm not gay and I don't have herpes.
Well, so this is being done by the Division of Emergency Management. So when we have a hurricane, like we would actually have people stage here for hurricane response normally anyways, but we have it when we have all the linemen come in to do the power. We have to set up little areas for them. And so you have all this type of stuff. So this is not our first rodeo. The detainee illegal alien mission's a little bit different, and the deportations, but logistics, we know how to do that.
Right, and you know, for people thinking, okay, they're going to put the migrants on this hot asphalt, it looks like you're building a subfloor, and in fact, some guys are putting down the plywood.
Yeah, no, look, this will be, I mean, there's not going to be anything that they're hurting for anything. There'll be AC, there'll be things that everybody needs. There's medical here. So it's being done right, it's being done by the book.
Well, you know, when you think of the imagery of Alcatraz, Alcatraz is surrounded by a bay. Here in the Everglades, you're actually surrounded by gators and pythons.
So this is as secure as it gets. I mean, if a criminal alien were to escape from here somehow, and I don't think they will, you've got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization?
No way. You got to be cuckoo brain to try and escape here. You are surrounded. This is the most badass thing. This is so fucking dope. I don't know why we don't have more of these. It's almost like an amusement park. Alligator prison. Rhinoceros prison. cheetah prison. Like, why can't we have prisons surrounded by dangerous animals?
Not going to happen.
You know what I mean?
So not only that is it secure, it also takes this deportation mission out of the hair of our local and state law enforcement. This has no impact on Florida residents because some of that stuff can have an impact on them if it's in more populated areas. And so logistically, this really answers the call. All you need is a little bus to move them, about 2,000 feet that way, then get on a plane and they're gone.
Well, listen, the DHS must love this because they're hurting for facilities, and here you are helping the federal government out.
Yeah, well, I said at the very beginning when President Trump took office, you have to have state and locals on board. You got to be on the team if you want to get the deportation mission done. We're done that better than anybody, but I hope other states will follow suit.
If the president is watching, I'm sure that runway right over there could probably land Air Force One.
An invitation from me. We can land Air Force One right there, no problem. We'll get it done. I think the president would be impressed with what these guys are doing out here.
Well, it is very, very impressive. Let me ask you something off topic regarding Alcatraz here. A couple days ago, you said regarding New York City, where that socialist won the Democratic primary,
I said it earlier. I was watching a show once, and this guy was just fascinated with his own piss. So he got an eye infection, kept shoving piss in his eye, kept shoving piss. He kept thinking to myself, man, I'm probably need to put more piss in. New York is the exact same. They've been governed by leftists. Their city's destroyed, just like the piss. They keep going more and more. So what do they choose now? A socialist Muslim.
He wins. So many people are going to be leaving New York. It's going to be a giant exodus, and they're going to be coming to Florida.
Unfortunately, I think the bad governance just repels people. And I love New York City. I think it's one of the greatest cities in the world when it's at its peak. But now they're struggling. And if this guy gets in, all bets are off. And yes, the socialism, he wants to tax like white neighborhoods more. It's insane. But I'll tell you, when he says abolish the NYPD, eliminate cash bail, your personal safety as a resident there is at risk if this guy's policies go into effect. And that's the one thing I found talking to people that have moved to Florida. They have no tolerance for the kind of defund the police nonsense. And once these leftists do that, they get out of dodge because they want to protect themselves and their families.
Well, and the guy's talking about the grocery stores will be run by the city.
Imagine how well that's going to work out.
Right. Just imagine the DMV for butter and bread. That's going to be crazy.
We know his ideas will not work. They have been tried in some areas and some of the things he's done. But even places like San Francisco have course corrected a little bit. Why would you want to put somebody in office where you know it's going to lead to disaster?
Well, and I've heard that I saw on social media that one of those celebrity real estate agents said as soon as he won the primary, his phone was ringing off the hook. I don't want to buy that apartment in New York. Find me something in Florida.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mean, we're proud of what we've done. Our budget in Florida, even though we have millions of more people than New York State, our budget's half the size of New York. No income tax. We're working on eliminating property tax for our residents. We're doing all this good stuff. Low crime rate, and we're proud of that. But part of the reason we've been successful is because of bad decisions in New York, Illinois, California. People ask me, well, how do you guys do it? I was like, well, I have a little cheat code. All I do is watch California, Illinois, New York, then do the opposite. And when I do that, it works out.
Well, and it's one of the reasons why I am now based in Florida.
There you go.
I am a Florida resident.
We're glad to have you.
My governor, Ron DeSantis. Congratulations. This looks great. And once again, if the president's watching, call the governor's office. Come take a look. It's fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Lawrence, back to you in New York.
Alligator Alcatraz, everybody. I mean, come on. Oh, shit. What happened, Luciana? No key. Isn't it funny how the Democrats 200 years ago wanted cheap labor? Now they're kind of in the same spot.
City.
All right. Great job, Steve. Great job, Governor.
Good job, Steve. Good job, Stephen.
As inspiring as it's been to see my city pull together and support each other, and it really has been, it has made me love Los Angeles deeply. It has also been beyond terrifying to watch the disinformation machine spin up in real time and watch conspiracy theories and rumors and lies fly about these fires and what caused them.
Disinformation? Really? Disinformation, Adam Conover? That's the biggest issue right now in the LA fires? All these different people spreading disinformation related to what actually...
The number of hypersonic flight tests that we've done as a nation over the past 5 years, I mean, you can basically count them on two hands. And then you compare that to what's happening in China and Russia, you need about 10x more hands to do that same count. So the question now becomes, okay, how do we continue to maintain air superiority? What's the right technology set to do that? And our kind of thesis around that, 6.5 years ago when we started the company at Hermes was speed.
A Forbes Next Billion-Dollar Startup List alum, Hermes focuses on a reusable and iterative approach for building the hardware necessary for Mach 5 aerospace and defense products.
Our approach to aircraft development is very unique in the airplane world. There are not other companies that build prototypes at this rate and approach kind of systems engineering and program management the way that we do. And our approach to doing that has been build a technology roadmap that very quickly and iteratively de-risks the technology. And at each step can spin off a product that solves a customer problem that unlocks customer dollars.
And for Hermes' founder and CEO, AJ Piplica, the seeds of interest in hypersonic flight were sown during childhood.
When I was a kid, I loved science fiction and building things. All those science fiction worlds, Star Trek, Star Wars, there's like one common thread that underpinned and enabled all of them. And it was things that moved and flew, whether in the atmosphere or through space. Then I went to an air show in middle school. I saw the C5 Galaxy fly. It's like the size of a building. And that broke my brain. And I think from there on, it was like, all right, I need to work on things that fly.
His love for physics and aviation landed Piplica at Georgia Tech.
I didn't come from an aerospace family or anything like that. And I get into my first intro to aerospace engineering class, and the professor's like, all right, everybody write down your 3 favorite airplanes. And I'm like, I can't even list one. What am I doing here?
Despite a rocky start, Piplica found his footing, excelling in math and physics, and landing a co-op at NASA's Johnson Space Center.
I loved aerodynamics, but I also liked space, and there's not much for an aerodynamicist to do in space. It's a vacuum, so it's like rocket engines or re-entry. So I ended up on the re-entry side, but I also I was fundamentally more connected or driven towards airplanes than space. There was just some stronger human connection. I didn't want to spend my career kind of trying to squeeze the
human connection with airplanes, dude. You're kind of weird.
Last 0.1% of performance out of something that had been worked on for 30 years or more. I wanted to go explore.
Go explore, man.
Piplica's deep interest in hypersonics fueled his undergraduate and graduate studies, ultimately leading him to a position at an aerospace design firm in Atlanta.
Quit doing that.
I really got to dig into a lot of the technology areas, and more importantly, I got to know and develop relationships with a lot of the core people who, 10 years later are now the leaders, on the DoD civilian side, really charged with driving and adopting this technology set.
Among the people he met were his future Hermes co-founders, Skylar Shuford, Glenn Case, and Michael Sameda.
We saw the military applications. We also saw that from a technology perspective, you could do this without having to do a bunch of science. You can solve a set of hard engineering problems, but not need to invent new engines, new materials, new things like that. There are near-term problems you can solve in defense to actually build a real company.